Hello and welcome. So this is going to be a lore reading. We're going to see what we've learned. And Desire Demon. In all my studies, I must say the most intriguing was my interview with the Desire Demon. That the creature was willing to speak with me was a sign that it was no mere monster mindlessly driven by its nature, but rather a rational being as interested in me as I was in it. It took a form I would call female, though I had no doubt that it could appear otherwise, though it today's games never does otherwise. I wondered if it appeared as it did because I wanted it to, or because I expected it to. She, and indeed I can only think of her as such now, smiled warmly at me and laughed in a musical sound that seemed to thrill my old heart. So frightened was I of this creature's legendary ability to twist the hearts of men, and so relieved was I when I looked across the table into her dark eyes. This was a fearsome creature of the Fade, but as I spoke with her I slowly came to realize that this demon was merely as misunderstood as we mages are ourselves. From the journal of the former senior enchanter Malleus, once of the Circle of Arraign, declared apostate in 920 Dragon. Of all the threats from beyond the veil, few are more insidious and deceptively deadly than the Desire Demon. In folklore, such demons are characterized as peddlers of lust, luring their prey into a sexual encounter only to be slain at the culmination. Well, a Desire Demon can indeed deal in pleasure. In truth, they deal with any manner of desire that humans can possess: wealth, power, and beauty, to name a few. Sorry, I had to drink something. Far more intelligent than the bestial hunger and rage demons, and more ambitious than the demons of sloth, these dark spirits are among the most skilled at tempting mages into possession. Many who serve the whims of a Desire Demon never realize it. They are manipulated by illusions and deceit, if not outright mind control. Although these demons are reluctant to resort to such crude measures, instead they seem to take great pleasure in corruption. The greater the deceit, the greater their victory. Only demons of pride prove more fearsome opponents when roused. Their ability is to affect the mind, allow them to assume disguises, and even alter the environment to their purpose, not to mention the great strength and speed they possess if they should have to resort to more physical means. Most often a Desire Demon will attempt to bargain its way to freedom if overpowered. Many stories exist that depict mages defeating a Desire Demon to the point where a wish can be wrested from them. Might end up being kind of like Jinn in this world. It should be noted that such stories the demon almost always gets the upper hand even when the mage thinks his wish has been granted. Blood magic, the forbidden school. Foul and corrupt are you who have taken my gift and turned it against my children. Transfigurations 1810. The ancient inventors did not originally consider blood magic a school of its own. Rather, they saw it as a means to achieve greater power in any school of magic. The name, of course, refers to the fact that magic of this type uses life, specifically in the form of blood instead of mana. It was common practice at one time for a magist to keep a number of slaves on hand so that, should he undertake the workings of a spell that was physically beyond his abilities, he could use the blood of slaves to bolster his casting. Over time, the Imperium discovered types of spells that could be worked only by blood. Although lyrium would allow a mage to send his consciousness into the Fade, blood would allow him to find the sleeping minds of others, view their dreams, and even influence or dominate their thoughts. Just as treacherous blood magic allows the veil to be opened completely so that demons may physically pass through it into our world. Thought for some time to have been stamped out In the Imperium, the practice of blood magic seems to be on the rise in recent years. The current Black Divine has lifted most of the prohibitions against dreamwalking, and so many mages in the Imperium are now used openly in the name of research. From the Four Schools, a treatise, 3rd edition by first enchanter Josephus. Interesting. No. Yeah. I guess it kind of makes sense. The Imperium, like, who would have developed it? I mean, I feel kind of like, well, actually, not entirely makes sense. So, like, lyrium can be used to augment a mage's his magical abilities, as can blood. And see, like, blood magic would predominate in areas where you can't get your hands on lyrium. I mean, it's far more available. And I was thinking initially, like, okay, it makes sense the Imperium would have that because it can't really access this lyrium. But then the Imperium during its heyday had significant trade connections to the dwarves who could mine the stuff. So it wouldn't necessarily make that much sense. Well, actually, at the beginning, the Imperium hadn't set up those trade networks, and they were still fighting the Elven Empire. Here, and it might make sense that the Elven Empire might have also had used blood magic, though. Yeah, I think where magic might have been easier for them, and thus they might not have needed it. Yeah. Yeah. Guess we think like after the first blight, because at that point the dwarves were pretty well wrecked down to, well, Orzammar and Kalsharok, and Kalsharok was kind of unreachable. So, and then immediately after the first blight, there was the revolts by Shahartan and Andraste, which probably would have cut off of the remaining route for the Imperium to actually get lyrium from Orzammar. So, it kind of makes sense it would rise after that. But anyway, the Veil. I detest the notion that the Veil is some manner of invisible curtain that separates the world of living from the world of spirits. Whether it can be called the Fade or the Beyond is a matter of racial politics I refuse to indulge in at the moment. There's no this side and that side when it comes to the Veil. One cannot think of it as a physical thing, or a barrier, or even a shimmering wall of holy light. Thank you very much for that image, your perfection. Think of the Veil instead as opening one's eyes. Before you open them, you saw our world as you see it now, static, solid, unchanging. Now that they are open, you see our world as the spirits see it, chaotic, ever-changing, a realm where the imagined and the remembered have as much substance as that which is real. More, in fact, a spirit sees everything as defined by will and memory, and this is why they are so very lost when they cross the veil. In our world, imagination has no substance. Objects exist independently of how we remember them, or what emotions we associate with them. Mages alone possess as the power to change the world with their minds, and perhaps this forms the nature of a demon's attraction to them. Who can say? Regardless, the act of passing through the veil is much more about changing one's perceptions than a physical transition. The veil is an idea. It is the act of transition itself. It is only the fact that both living beings and spirits find the transition difficult that gives the veil any credence as a physical barrier at all. From a dissertation on the Fade as a physical manifestation by Marino, Senior Enchanter in the Manarthus Circle of Magi, 655 steel. Nope. Emmerich's Notes. Emmerich's Notes are a messy collection of half-baked thoughts written on scraps of paper. Only one seems to stand out. There's something about that Lowtown foundry where Marine's trail ended. I've got a strange feeling about it. Notes. Grey Letters. Yeah. Alright. And that's it for this one. Thank you for watching, doing relevant things with YouTube's buttons, and have a nice day.